The nexus of us getting into PET was really driven by our physicians. We had a number of physicians who either trained in locations where they had access to PET or had been to conferences and felt strongly that it was an additional technology that we needed to offer our patients.
There's pretty universal agreement by all of us that PET scan gives us better direction, which is really why we order a nuclear scan. We order a nuclear scan to tell us, is there not ischemia? If so, where is it?
We had to do a lot of homework and a lot of research to figure out what would be the best way for us to implement it in our practice. We had to do a lot of education to our staff.
This is a test that one gets and gets an answer. When I walk into the cath lab with a patient who has a positive PET, I'm not questioning whether or not there's coronary disease. I'm looking for the spot that PET has described, that lesion. And I must tell you, I'm yet to find a case where PET called something severely ischemic, where with enough views, we did not pick up the coronary lesion. And I found many cases where standard angiography would have missed that lesion without having that direction.
When we implemented PET, we implemented a diagnostic radiology nurse, and having that dedicated RN gives us the ability to be a little more efficient.
The actual test is only 35 minutes compared to sometimes 2 to 3 hours for a SPECT scan. So with the PET, they're in and out within 45 minutes.
I've been a patient here since 1995, and my doctor is Dr. Craig Walker.
We come together, and I keep asking him when he's going to give me 2 for 1, but he never does. This test is just easier to me. It's easier for me. And when I'm finished with it, matter of fact, I got finished one day and went on vacation the next day. That's how simple it was.
We had on-the-job training, on our site training with the Bracco reps. They came in, they trained us, and are available at any time if we ever have questions.
Patients in general really do like PET scanning better because they're on the table less time, they're not in compromised positions.
It's always nice to have the latest and the best. I do believe that a part of this particular organization that they generally are on the cutting edge.
From a revenue cycle perspective, I think the most important thing was to pull the medical policies, to see not only the medical policies, but also the reimbursement policies, to see what was covered, what's not covered. I really don't find PET any more cumbersome than SPECT as far as administratively at all. We have a very low percentage of denials for PETs.
I think the first thing you have to do is make sure your clinicians understand why PET would be important to your practice, why we need to order PET, when it's important, when it's appropriate.
The creation of our PET program started with our first site in Lafayette. We were able to set some good standards there, from how we schedule the patients to how we instruct our physicians on the documentation. So each time we open a PET scanner, we improve our processes, which improves the outcome for the physicians and the patients.
Having our own generator here, it allows us to add patients on without having to wait, because we have the isotope readily available for us.
When I founded Cardiovascular Institute of the South 35 years ago, one of the first things I did was to write a mission statement. One of those principles that we thought important at a time when it was just really one doctor, not even nurses or secretaries, but that we strove to become. We wanted to have technological superiority. We think that PET scan is a logical extension of this.
It's certainly added some revenue that helps us as we plan strategic moves, new buildings, construction, etc. It helps us because of the funding it supplies, quite frankly. I would absolutely recommend PET if you have the nucleus of physicians to support it and the patient volume to support it, because first and foremost, it's better for patients.
I was very surprised how quick it was.
It's a better test.
It's a better test. And I said, I'm all for that. So something better. When you have heart problems, you want something better.